Hi everybody, it's Evangeline Lilly and I'm here at Books of Wonder in New York City, and I'm here with RJ Palacio, the author of the incredible book Wonder. What do you mean now? Stop. So incredible, they made a movie about it that I'm sure you've all seen and adore, because you all have the book too, and everybody knows about her book, but we gotta make everybody know about my book now,
I know,
right?
and I'm so excited to talk to you about these books because we just met a couple of days ago.
At BookCon.
At BookCon, and I fell in love with these books. And aside from the fact that I'm the hugest Lost fan in the world, and I'm talking to Kate here, I'm also, as we've talked about, I'm come from a graphic design background. I love books, illustrated books, and there's a certain style of book that I've always loved, and this is it. And everything about this book I just adored. So when you asked me to do this, I said, sure, why not?
God, I couldn't believe it. Literally, we met like 2 days ago, and I emailed her this morning, was like, this is a long shot, but you want to come play with me? And she's like, I want to come play with you.
I had nothing going on, so I was like, sure, this is great.
And
I am thrilled to talk to you about these because I have so many questions.
Ask
and I
away,
know we have people sending in questions, and a lot of the questions that they have are the same exact questions that I have, which I want to hear about what inspired you to write the Squickerwonkers. First of all, why don't you describe it a little bit, like what they are,
okay,
and then sort of what, because I heard a little bit about this the other day, but like what inspired you to take on an entire book series, basically?
An enormous book series, too.
Yeah.
It's going to be 20 books
Wow.
when it's all said and done, and we're, chipping away at that already. This is the first 2 that we have in bookstores right now. It's called The Squickerwonkers. The full series is called The Squickerwonkers, and right now we have the pre-show and The Demise of Selma the Spoiled in bookstores. And they're stories about a group of vice-ridden marionette puppets who ultimately all usually have very unfortunate endings to their tales. And that's very intentional, because I grew up on the really, really healthy European and British story tradition of scaring the crap out of children to make them behave.
Yeah.
And as a result, my generation of kids were scared into behaving quite well, for the most part. And
scared straight.
Scared straight. That was the way of it back in the 80s, And nowadays, I like to say that these are cautionary tales for modern day brats. And I have 2 modern day brats, so I'm allowed to say that. But I looked around me and I felt like there was this incredibly permissive approach to parenting that started with such beautiful intentions of saying, listen, these old stories used to tell kids, if you make a mistake, you're a bad person and you deserve, horrible things to happen to you. And we all know that that's not healthy for a child's psyche or self-esteem. So we went the other way, and we told our children, listen, no matter what you do, no matter what mistakes you make, you're perfect. And it's not your fault. It's your parents' fault, it's your teacher's fault, it's your friend's fault, it's the bully's fault. It's no one's fault. It's not your fault. It's everyone else's fault. It's not your fault. And I just feel like there is such an important distinction between saying you're bad and saying that was a bad choice.
Absolutely.
And in my house, we don't say good boy and we don't say bad boy. We say good choice and we say bad choice.
Yeah.
Because you're always a good boy. In my eyes, all of you, not just my kids, everybody.
That's unconditional love.
Yes.
That's it, yes.
But the things that we choose and the things that we do can lead to very unfortunate circumstances. And if we don't learn from our mistakes, then we're doomed to repeat them. And these stories, as you will discover if you ever get through all 20 of them, which I hope we do, loop around in that same cycle of what is the beginning and what is the end. Where is the the beginning of this bad choice cycle I find myself trapped in as an adult woman? How did I get here? And I'd love for parents to be able to sit down with their kids to read these books and really explore their own nature and be honest and forthright with their kids and say, here are the things I struggle with. Here are my vices. These are the ways in which I'm not such a great person all the time. And these are the things I want to get better at. And then the kids, hopefully, will be like permitted to say, yeah, I've got flaws too, and I'm not really proud of them, and these are the things that make me feel shame.
Right.
Because once you give voice to those things, and once you relate to a character in a book who has those vices too, now it normalizes it. We all have shame. We all have vices. We all make mistakes. And it gives you the platform to talk to your parents in a safe way about the crap that happens in life, the kids on the playground, the things that you do wrong, so that when you graduate from college, you're not going out into the wide world and encountering hardship and thinking, but I'm a good person, it's supposed to end happily ever after, I don't understand,
Yes.
you know?
Using stories, I think, as sort of launching pads for conversation is what, to me, it's always been the sort of the greatest device as a parent, and I think as teachers, and it's something that sort of goes back, you know, to our very roots as people and human beings, going back to the
from
dawn of
around
time.
the campfire.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, over the years, stories have gotten less scary. I think we go in cycles, and what these remind me of, like, you know, I love the Grimm's Fairy. I mean, people who know Wonder are going to be shocked to hear all this, but there's a whole other side to me. I have always, you know, Ed Gorey. We were talking about Arthur Rackham. We were. I collect fairy tale literature, going back to Grimm's fairy tales and before. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that Grimm's fairy tales were actually based on the fairy tales of these group of women in the 1700s who would write fairy tales. And so I love this genre, and everything about this. I also love the choice of writing in limerick, in rhyme, because not everyone can do it. And in fact, there's an adage in children's book publishing when you're trying to get published is just don't do it.
Yes, I was told, don't do that.
I mean, it's like it's one of the sort of don't do this if you want to get published. And the reason is that a lot of people don't do it well. It's not amazing to me, but it's really incredible.
It's amazing to
no,
you. It's okay.
your rhymes, you write so well.
Thank you.
You propel a narrative, but you also are really gifted. There's a musicality to them, which makes the read aloud experience so much more fun.
Yes,
and I love it.
I miss that in modern books because I didn't know until I tried to have these books published that was truly a rule, pretty much a pretty hard and fast rule in publishing, and it now explains to me why when I go looking for limerick poetry or any real poetry of any type on children's bookshelves in the bookstores, I'm not finding it.
Yeah.
And I, as a kid, didn't find myself easily immersed in a story. And I found it difficult to read, and I don't remember really almost any fond memories of listening to books read aloud to me when I was very young. But things that rhymed, they immediately grabbed my attention, and they kept me hooked, and they kept me immersed. And there was something, like what you just said is exactly it. The musicality sort of drove me along and sort of kept me moving. And I've actually created audiobooks for the Squickerwonkers books, and I narrate them, and I work with a composer, and I produce them, and I do all of those, you know, everything.
I'm sorry, but can you imagine that? It's
so
not
fun.
like a regular author reading their books. I mean, you must act out
I
all the
do
parts,
all
and
the parts,
do the
I do all the voices.
Oh my goodness!
I let my weird flag fly,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
as
great,
high as I can when I do the audiobooks. But there is the music. The composer wanted to do what we now do in modern day animation, which is have the music tell the emotional story and really follow exactly what's happening on the screen. And I actually had to ask him, can you please not do that? And can you please do what is instinctively boring, which is actually repeat the same melody, and I want to put it in the same rhythm as the limerick, so it becomes a song. You know, it basically becomes a song that a child can have play in his mind the way a song would play in your mind. And then I was lucky enough to have the incredible Sylvester McCoy, who was the original Doctor Who, and he played Radagast in The Hobbit, voice the pre-show audiobook. And literally asked him to like pretty much almost sing it like a song. And the limerick, because of the nature of limerick writing, actually like moves at this tempo that's exactly
right.
You know,
It's
with
very
the
tempo oriented. Yeah, that's amazing. And so the writing is incredible. I love the art, and you worked really closely with the artists, right? You chose the illustrators. There are 2 different illustrators for these books. I mean, I hope everyone just picks these books up, because I can't, the level of detail, I mean, it's just so, it's charming, it's a little spooky, it's mischievous, It's also it kind of. Do you remember Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Oh, of course.
The child napper. I mean, I think kids love to be scared a little bit, not a lot, just enough where it's in a safe place. And I just there's just this is really it's hand lettered. It's really remarkable. Sorry, go ahead.
Please, no, please stop complimenting my books. I hate it. I don't want you to do it anymore. Well, I was just going to say what you said about they like to be scared a little bit. I think the thing that I liked about the authors that scared me, which Edward Gorey was one of my favorites, was when they could do it in a way that was intentionally humorous. So, sort of dark humor, that black humor idea. And I think that there is maybe a false assumption that kind of humor is too sophisticated for kids to pick up on or to understand, that it would go over their head and all they would see is the tragedy or the trauma, that they wouldn't be able to pick up on the humor.
Right.
But I can attest to the fact that when I was 8, I thought it was freaking hilarious when this little boy went into a museum with his entire family and they all got gobbled by monsters except the boy, and he walks out of the museum all alone and Edward Gorey makes a joke about it. And nowadays I think a lot of parents would go, that's inappropriate.
Right.
He's orphaned and we should be sensitive to orphans' feelings. But if we can't laugh at ourselves, we're lost.
Yeah.
If we can't laugh at the things that are tragic and really have broken our hearts, then we're in big, big trouble, because the world is not getting nicer or better every day. We're in a very uncertain time for parents. We're in a very uncertain time for students and children. And the future is very unknown. And if we don't know how to laugh at the ways in which we get hurt and the ways in which we're vulnerable and scared, then all there is fear.
Yeah.
That's all there is. And I think that teaching children we can laugh at
absolutely
hard things is good. It's important.
Well, Roald Dahl too. He's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What if you think about it?
Oh my God, yes. In a way, this series is an ode to that book and to The Dwindling Party, which is the Edward Gorey book I just described to you, where people get picked off. Yeah, and it's meant to be funny.
It's like Lost. I mean, like
right.
Lost for kids. I want to get a couple of questions in from there. There are a lot. Let's see. Okay, do you mind? I mean, there are some questions about Lost as well, or do you?
And you're going straight to those ones.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to. Okay, wait. Let's
no,
see.
Please do. Go.
Well,
ask me a Lost question.
What was the hardest part about playing Kate in Lost? And did you ever feel like the whole show depended on you? And how did you deal with stress? Oh, that's a lot.
That's
maybe you could do a brief version of that.
Well, the hardest part about playing Kate, I wanted, my knee-jerk reaction would be to talk about the physicality of being in the jungle and out in the scorching hot sun on the beaches, and that was always a challenge, but it was much more of a challenge for the grips and the crew than it really was for the actors, because we have people running around with umbrellas, following us to make sure we don't get burnt.
And adjusting your hair.
Oh yes, and offering us cold water and all that stuff. But I think the hardest part was truly, and this really did take an enormous toll on me. There was no reprieve from the trauma. There wasn't it wasn't like I was doing Friends where I got to hold a cup of coffee and say funny things and laugh. Right. I was always crying or screaming or trembling or begging or pleading or in fear or angst. I mean, that was it. 6 years of living in those very dark places. And I'm not a method actor. When they call cut, I'm able to sort of distance myself. But when they call action, I'm not pulling from a tool bag and putting on a show, because I don't have tools. I have no training. I had no experience. It was my first job. I didn't know what I was doing. So I would pull from here. I had to put it inside me and feel it. Oh. And if I didn't feel it, I couldn't do it.
Right.
So if she's feeling horror, Evangeline is taking herself to a place of total horror. And when Lost was over, a lot of fans who were diehards of the show know, I said, I'm out. I quit. I can't keep doing this.
That. Yeah.
I was going to retire.
Yeah.
I did retire. I thought I did. And until Peter Jackson came along.
I was going to say, then the Hobbit came along, right?
And I was like, oh,
fears.
Because we liked the same books growing up. And I was like, I get to be a woman. Yes, oh my God. I'm not retired anymore. It was a very easy decision. But I just didn't know that I could keep doing that. It just was so taxing on my soul. And actually, when Lost ended, I did this movie called Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. And I literally said to my agent, I'm doing this movie for two reasons. One is to work with Hugh Jackman. I mean, obviously. The other one is so that I can hold a cup of coffee and have a conversation and laugh. Like, that was all I wanted to do.
Right,
you know,
right.
I was like, I can't run from another smoke monster. I can't.
Well, and it's funny. Well, not funny actually. I mean, a couple of the actors on Game of Thrones recently have been sort of talking about sort of dealing. They were so young when they started, and then dealing with these heavy sort of things, and then the show ends, and it sounds like a couple of them are having hard times because I think it must be really hard to sort of be in the situation day in and day out. All right, we have another cute. I like this
You're
question.
so smart that you moved on. I was about to dive into Game of Thrones.
No,
Sorry.
oh no, let's not get started there because that'll just take me back to the last season as well.
Oh no, we shouldn't do that.
Would you say you have a wild imagination?
I would say I have an overly active imagination and a wild one and a dark one. My mom used to always be just horrified by the art and the poetry and the things that I would create as a kid because I was this really quiet, really reserved, sweet, passive, kind of delicate little flower when I was little. And then my art was just dark and really like bizarre
Bloody
and
marionettes
wild
and all of the,
out there.
yeah.
And she was like, "Are you okay inside? Like, I'm not sure that this is a good sign of where your psyche is." And I really believe it. And I was talking actually to a friend yesterday about this, and she was saying, but what a healthy outlet. We all carry darkness. All of us have it. Some people let it out with their tantrums. Some people let it out by being cruel to other kids. Some people let it out by bottling, and then when they're 30 suddenly suffering from anxiety attacks or whatever it is. But in some way I guess I had found a really healthy outlet for the darker side of me. We all have it. I mean, hiding it is useless because it's not going to take you anywhere. We need to face it, right? And I think I faced it in my art.
Yeah, no, and also in your writing, obviously, and
Yes.
storytelling. Okay, could you offer any advice to those who are inspired by you and wish to publish their own book? And I know you have to, we've been talking a little bit about this. I know that your path to publishing was not the typical sort of celebrity path. A lot of authors have a very sort of formulaic path to getting published, but you did not go down that route.
No, I always like to make things hard on myself, hard for myself. I've had such a bizarre and winding journey with publishing, and I sometimes feel like I'm the best person to give publishing advice, and other times I think I'm the worst person because I haven't gone down a conventional path. When I decided I wanted to make these books, I really didn't know anything about the publishing world, and I think my naivety made me think it was it was relatively simple. If you write a great book, people will want to publish it. I mean, it just seemed like there was a cause and effect there.
Right.
And then I started meeting with publishers, and the feedback I got almost never revolved around whether or not the book was any good.
Right.
It revolved around whether or not the book fit into a certain market genre, a certain demographic, if it was like, if it was this sort of follow-up to that other book that was just a huge success, or whether or not it related to my acting career. I mean, I can't tell you how many people asked me or told me, well, we would love to publish a book by you, and didn't even look at this, and didn't even look at what I was presenting to them, and said, so let's start with, how about a little girl who dreams about being a superhero, and you could, and that kind of thing, I really was so turned off. I hate to say it, but I was like kind of revolted at times that it was so, I had nothing to do with the work. And I just really wanted to make what was coming out of my heart, what was my passion to write, and what was my passion to see come to life in illustrations done by incredible artists. And so I decided to branch off on my own.
It's amazing.
And self-publish, and
which is a path that, I mean, I am, and I will admit, I am a long-time publishing insider. I've been working in publishing long before I was an author. I've been working in publishing, so I know exactly what you're talking. It is hard to get into the right sort of point of entry in publishing to be able to get published, which is why so many people are getting self-published and doing it with Amazon, and there's so many different outlets now for being published. or self-publishing. And there are lots of pluses to it, of course, which is complete creative freedom.
Yep.
The fact that you get to work with whoever you want to work with, and
Yep.
you get to design it the way you want to work with,
Yep.
and all of these wonderful things. And your choices have been so amazing to me, because as somebody who works in publishing, each of these choices that you've made, whether it's the type of paper that's used, the type of end paper, whether it's how long the book will be, whether it's 4-color or 1-color, what it's going, every layout, every design, what the case cover is going to be, where it gets printed, how it gets distributed. All of these are different departments in a book publisher. Yes. And so you became like your own book publisher, and you're just one person.
Yeah.
Without book publishing experience. So my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
It's huge. A huge
Thank you.
undertaking.
It nearly killed me.
I can imagine.
Really...
I honestly, as someone who's been doing this for so many years, again, long before Wonder, I know exactly what's involved, and it's a tremendous feat, and which is another reason why I'm so impressed with the book. What I will say though is I'm sorry, and I'm sad that the road to get there wasn't easier for you, and I'm sorry to anybody out there who wants to be published as well. That publishing makes it so hard in a way, and there should be an easier way.
You know, I don't know if it should. Here's the thing: I don't know if it should be easier, because if I heard a stat recently about the number of books that are published a year, and it's astronomical, and it's 10 times what it was in the 1980s when I was growing up, only 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
No, when you could say you grew up in the 70s, and
yes,
we'll talk.
Okay.
Okay, so
all right, so I think there's a reason why it has to be hard, but I just wish that what got through was the best stuff and not the most marketable stuff, and that is where I think that I am sure that there are publishing houses out there
that are great,
only care about the best stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where I will give advice that I have, I can really give because I didn't do it. I went to maybe 3 or 4 publishing houses, about 5 agents, and just went, forget it. This isn't working.
Right.
I don't like that. I'm gonna find a way to do this that feels integral, where I can just make this integral. But what I've heard from other authors who have actually pounded the pavement and done the time is that I've heard stories of people who say, I got 100 rejections before I got published, and then they became massive best-selling authors.
Yeah.
So, don't take 3 no's, or in my case, somebody looking in the eye and saying, this will never sell.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
And I took that as a challenge, I will prove you wrong, But don't take that no as an indication of what the whole industry thinks. Right. Because there are lots of publishing houses, and I didn't even come close to digging in and, getting to all of them. And
it is kind of like an algorithm kind of thing. Like you have to hit the publisher that's the right one for you at the right time, and who wants to do a book like this. Or it's part luck, but it's also what is luck but sort of putting yourself out there to have the opportunity to get lucky.
Yes.
So let's see.
Be brave and get ready for rejection, but don't let it daunt you.
What got you started on writing books and stories, and how do you manage your time with writing and acting?
Well, the first question is sort of impossible to answer, because I've been writing for as long as I remember. When I was in 3rd grade, I had a poem published in the school newsletter called My Little Sugar Bowl.
Oh.
It's all about sugar. I still love sugar. It was my ode to sugar. I actually still remember the whole poem. And so I've been writing as long as I can remember. I mean, truly and really. And I've always written, even if it's just in my journal, almost every day. And it's one of the reasons why I realized, that's what I should be doing for a living. The thing that nobody ever asked me to do, and nobody's ever paid me to do, and I do it every day because otherwise I feel like I'm suffocating. That I have to do it.
I actually read, sorry to interrupt, but I read when I Googled you, I read a great quote, which is where you were saying that basically your acting is your day job.
Yeah.
and writing is your passion.
Yeah.
And I think that whether you're an actress or whether you are, stocking books in a bookstore, or whether you're waiting tables or whatever, it's about following one's passion, really. I had a day job too. My day job was in book publishing, and I wrote Wonder at night.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just feel like compelled to tell a story,
Yeah.
and you want to, and you go ahead and write it without knowing what the outcome is going to be.
And you know what? I just want to sort of point out for any of the people who are watching who might be in that sweet spot of deciding what to do with your life. That really difficult time in your life where you're trying to figure out what to do. Our stories are a testament to the day job, much more than a testament to how you have to do what your passion is for a living. And I think there's such a danger right now that we encourage people to follow their passion, because absolutely you want to follow your passion or you'll shrivel inside. But the idea that if your day job, the thing that pays your bills, is not your passion, you've somehow failed as a human being, is so wrong.
Right.
And my day job is something I'm extremely grateful for. Granted, I have a very good day job, and I know that. But having a day job is what enables me to do my passion. And you told this story at BookCon that blew my mind. I mean, you were impressed that I self-published. I was impressed. She had young kids at home and she was writing a novel, and the only way she could get time that was quiet a way to do it was between
12 and 3.
12
in the morning.
midnight and 3 in the morning
Yeah.
every night. And then she'd get up with her little ones and then she'd go to her day job, and that's what she did. And that
I was very tired.
Oh
all
my
the time.
God,
But
I can't imagine.
It was
I'm
good,
such
yeah.
a sleep monger. I can't imagine. But that is following your passion.
Yeah, that's when you do
Following
it.
your passion is
You
not
make
saying,
the time, you find the time.
I'm holding out, I'm
Right.
not going to get a job, I'm not going to pay my bills
Right.
because I don't think that's what we're talking about when we encourage
No.
people to follow their passion. Get that day job, be grateful, and give it your all, and do your best at your day job, and do your passion when you can.
And one of my favorite precepts that I use often is fortune favors the bold. And what I mean by that is really just, it's about also putting yourself in situations where opportunity can find you. And you only do that by putting yourself out there, working the 1 to 3 shift or whatever, and doing what you need to do.
Right.
Here's a great question. Actually, before we do that,
Yeah.
would you mind just, so that people can get a really good sense of what the book sounds like? Because I was so enchanted by, can you read like a page or two?
Yeah, I would love
Just,
to.
I
I would love to. I'm trying to decide which book to read from, because I've been reading this one, the pre-show. I've read it a few times. So I'm going to read from The Demise of Selma the Spoiled.
Sounds good.
The Demise of Selma the Spoiled. This is the first time it's ever been released in bookstores, so I'm quite excited about it right now. All right. All right, I'll do that. I'll do this a little bit here.
All right.
It's gonna get really loud, so turn down your phones. Give me a treat. I want that dress. I insist that you come out to play. It seemed nothing had changed, for the girl was deranged in her need to have things her own way. A much bigger toy! A gesture for me! I want my own traveling show! What Selma would choose, no one dared to refuse. The answer could never be no. When daily the Squickers paraded through town, Selma came with a skip and a smile. It gave her great pleasure to seek out some treasure and add it to her growing pile. And this is Selma with all her stuff. And this illustration was inspired by Arcimboldo, Italian artist who, I think it was Renaissance time or maybe it was turn of the century, but he used to do images that were made of a collection of different items, and Rodrigo
stuff,
has
yeah.
always admired him.
Yeah.
Do you know that book
Yeah.
on Market Street? The kids'
No.
book?
No.
It's that. It's
Yeah.
the alphabet, but all done in Arcimboldo style.
Yeah.
And so there will be one of these in every one of the Squickerwonkers demise books
Oh, beautiful.
for each character.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to skip because we don't have much time.
Yeah.
So yes was the answer the Squickers would give to each of her crazy demands. Then, one fateful day, to the Squickers' dismay, a strange vendor arrived in their lands. Pulling a barrow and singing a song, this enchanting man called ahead. Sweet children, come near, the Jingle Man's here, and I've come with a marvelous spread. My wagon is brimming, it's utterly swimming. Come, see what this piper has got. Selma rushed in with a demented grin. I'm gonna get the whole lot, she thought.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. There's a question that actually ties right into this, which is, are you turning this into a movie or adapting it for a film or a stage or anything?
Yes, is the definitive answer. I have put blood, sweat, toil, and tears into getting these books out to the world, and so I'm hoping that I don't have to do it so unconventionally with the movies.
I'm sure you
am working with, and I won't say too much because it's all not real yet, but I'm working with an incredible partner in the UK, and we've been building a development package, and we've already made a little Papa the Proud marquee, and he looks incredible because my dream is to see this as a stop animation, live action combination. So in the pre-show, this little girl named Selma, she wanders onto this spooky wagon with these marionette puppets. And what I really want to see is I want to see a real life little girl wander into a stop animation world of stop animation marionette puppets.
Oh my goodness, so beautiful.
I just think it would be
it's giving me chills, literally. Have you seen Peter and the Wolf from a couple of years ago?
So
it's stop motion. It's so
Has
beautiful.
it been made into stop motion? It was a theater. It was a production. It was a play.
There was a stop motion version of it, like from 2014, or I think.
No way.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, and
I
it's
hadn't
very
even
much
heard
like
of it until I first made the Squickerwonkers, and there was like multiple people who said this reminds me of Peter and the Wolf, and I was like, "What's Peter and the Wolf?"
No, it's gorgeous, and let's see. So let me. How are we doing on time? We're good. All right. Someone wrote. What do you find important in creating a children's book, and what do you feel is required?
I'll start backward. I'll go backwards. I think I believe, and it's so subjective, but I believe what is required in writing a children's book is loving children. And when I say loving, I don't mean thinking they're cute. I mean something in you has to serve them. I've been working with kids since I was old enough to be a little older than other kids. Just as soon as I could, I started working with other kids, and I was a Sunday school teacher and a camp counselor, and I worked at a juvenile detention center, and I've just done lots of stuff with kids until I had my own. That was a handful. But
and it's still going on. Right?
And it's still going. It's very going on.
Yeah.
I'm like really in the thick of it right now.
Yeah.
But I've just always had this love for kids that is beyond me and inexplicable, and it drives me, and it gives me energy, and it gives me life. Like, I'm kind of under the weather right now, and I'm doing this tour, and some things are more painful than other things when you're not feeling well. But yesterday I went and did a book reading at Chapters Indigo in New Jersey, in Short Hills, New Jersey. And I was really tired when I arrived, and I wasn't feeling well, and I walked out and I saw all these little kids sitting on the ground and holding the books like this, and just, it was like everything melted away. I completely forgot I was tired. I completely forgot I was sick, and I had 3 hours of bliss. And then once it was over, I just crashed, But I didn't feel any of it while I was with them, and I don't know that you necessarily have to feel that way to write for kids, but I feel like why else would you write for kids unless you just have this passion to serve them? What was the first part of the question?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I guess I answered
question.
enough
Yeah,
of it.
I think you did. I think it was
what is it required?
Yeah, what is required? What do you feel is required?
To write for kids? No, that was the second part, right?
Yeah, I think you've answered it.
Okay,
I think,
good.
So I've been asked to play a little game with you.
Oh, okay. I can't
right.
sign it. Well, if we're going to play a game, I
yeah,
gotta
no,
focus.
it's 22 questions.
Not that I've been doing much signing.
Well, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
22 questions in 2 minutes. And so I'm just going to kind of shoot. Does someone have a timer? Okay. All right. So you ready?
Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm so bad at being fast. I've always been slow.
Just say whatever comes to your mind.
Sloth.
All right.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah.
Who would you like to have dinner with, past or present?
Anyone?
Anyone.
Donald Trump.
No way. Really? Okay, no, sorry. No
We
editorial
we
comment.
should ask questions about that answer. I mean, I was like, I forgot this is rapid fire. I need to explain that. Okay, anyways.
All right, which one? Game of Thrones or Stranger Things?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, me too. What is your favorite?
I have to expound on that one just briefly.
Yeah, sure.
I'm a fantasy, not sci-fi.
Ah,
I'm all fantasy. I'm
got
not
it.
fantasy.
All right, I am
Okay.
too. Actually, I like sci-fi too. Star Wars and is that fantasy?
It
That's
gets
kind of a
me here
space
and there,
fantasy.
but
Yeah.
really fantasy is my jam.
Oh, I love fantasy. We would have been friends in high
I
school.
know.
Like the
I know.
dorks.
You would have been the only, like, you would have been my only friend.
Like totally. Okay, what is your favorite breakfast food?
Toast.
We totally would be friends.
Sourdough.
Oh, toast with butter though.
Oh, yeah, with butter.
What is your favorite genre of music?
Singer-songwriter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was your idol growing up?
My mom.
Oh.
I mean that. It's truly.
Yeah. What is your favorite international cuisine?
French.
All right. What is your favorite candy bar?
I don't really like candy bars very much. I'm going to go Big Turk, representing Canada.
There you go. I've never heard of it, but
Of course you haven't.
Do you have a favorite season? I know you're from Canada, so
I am.
say
I am.
winter.
No, it's not winter. It's definitely not winter. I would say fall.
Oh.
And
what,
I miss it. I miss it. I haven't had it in a long time.
Oh, because you're out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, no, yeah.
What is your favorite childhood memory?
That's a rapid fire
I know,
question.
really.
I have no idea.
All right. Did you ever have an imaginary friend?
Yes.
Oh.
Many.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes. And now this is, I have to go on a tangent.
Yeah.
So my best imaginary friend who I'd had for as long as I could remember, as long as I had consciousness, when I was about 8 years old, I went to the water slides with my family, but really I went with her. I mean, like, they didn't matter as much to me as going with her. And we were on this water slide and we were having so much fun together. And all of a sudden she leapt off the water slide onto the little grassy knoll beside the water slide. And I went shooting down the water slide going, no, wait! And I couldn't get her and I couldn't catch her. And I got to the bottom and I was like, she's still up there. And I went back up and I kept going down. And then it eventually was time to go. And my parents put me in the car and we were driving away from the water slides. And all of a sudden I realized I left my imaginary friend on that grassy knoll beside the water slide, and I was banging on the window going, we have to turn around, we have to go back. I left, I think it was Karen, I don't know what her name was, maybe let's call her Karen. I left Karen at the water slide, so we have to get her, we have to get her. And I never saw Karen again.
Oh my goodness, she's still there.
Yeah.
It's on the grassy knoll.
On the grassy knoll beside the water slide.
Maybe someone else found her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we should write that book.
Yeah, that sounds
That's
like a book,
great
actually.
book.
Oh my goodness, that's all right.
See, she's a genius.
Do you have a favorite animal?
I'm going to say lions because I'm a Leo.
Ah,
Let's see.
my son's a Leo. What is your go-to workout?
Running, push-ups, and sit-ups.
Okay. What do you never leave home without?
I leave home without something every day.
For me, it's the keys to
Oh,
my house.
every time I leave the house, I gotta go back for something.
All right, so something. Okay, and you can't answer. I'm sorry, I'm telling you what to do. You can't say the Wasp. Do you have a favorite superhero? Okay, you can say the Wasp.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
say it.
Ant-Man.
Oh, Ant-Man. Okay.
And I mean that. That's not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because of I really love Ant-Man.
that's so
I'm a
great.
huge Paul Rudd fan.
Okay. What is your favorite time of day?
My favorite time of day is dawn. It's
Yeah.
like that moment where the sun's coming up and the world's quiet and the
it's the
birds
best. The best.
if I could just live in that time of day all day, well, it would ruin it, wouldn't
Also,
it? It wouldn't be
I wake up with so much energy. Really
Yes.
early in the morning.
Me
But then by
too.
10 o'clock,
I'm-
I have to, that's exactly
And then
how
you
I
get
am.
up at midnight and bright. You're
Yeah, well,
my
not
hero.
anymore.
You're
Not
my
anymore.
hero.
Okay, have you ever ridden, this is a good one, so random. Have you ever ridden in a hot air balloon?
Yes, and
Have
I almost
you?
puked.
Oh my goodness.
I get such bad motion sickness, and that was the worst I've ever experienced.
I'm afraid of heights, so. What is your favorite board game?
Crib.
Oh. And what are your favorite pizza toppings? These are fun. These are very random.
Ham, mushroom, black olive.
Okay. Do you have a favorite teacher? I bet you did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say Mr. Gloucester. Mr. Gloucester was my grade 7 teacher. He had brown hair, he had blonde eyebrows, and he had a red mustache naturally.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is another character.
I know, he
right
should be a
there.
Squickerwonker.
You know, Mr. Brown is from Wonder is actually based on my high school English teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Papa the Proud similarly has different colored hair. He has a blonde mustache,
Right.
and he's got kind of
love
reddish brown hair. So
Do you like movie popcorn with or without butter?
without.
Who is your favorite author?
That's impossible to answer.
Yeah.
So instead of answering who is my favorite author, I will say who is my favorite current adult fictional author.
Oh, I'd love to know that. Who?
Yeah,
Who?
it's Steve Toltz. He's so little known. He's an Australian author. He wrote a book called A Fraction of the Whole, and he followed it up with a second book. He's only written 2 books ever. A Fraction of the Whole is a masterpiece.
I'm gonna go buy it
It's
now.
a masterpiece. I would give my left arm to write like Steve can write.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve Toltz.
Toltz.
Good to know.
T-O-L-Z.
And the last question. Who has impacted you the most?
Period.
Question mark.
My mom.
Great. Well, I guess that's
Well, my
it.
parents, really, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
22 questions in 2 minutes. There we
I
go.
thought there was one that was. I thought you were. I heard you kind of running through them, like looking at what they
Yeah.
were earlier. I thought there was one that said, "What is your secret snack?" And I was ready. I was like, I know my secret snack. It's licorice.
Oh, well, there you go. That's 23 questions.
All kinds of licorice. I love licorice. I'm a licorice fiend.
Well, I think we've kind of gone through a lot of these questions
Good.
already. I was going to say, actually, somebody asked, has performing the audiobooks impacted your writing process? And I think that's a really good question.
That's a really interesting
Yeah.
question.
So when because I heard you yesterday mentioning that you actually write in prose first, and then you
Yeah.
adapt to rhyme.
Yeah.
So do you read aloud and then sort of tweak from there?
No, and not at all. In fact, I write in prose just so that I make sure that I know the plot and I don't let the rhyme drive the plot, because
Right.
it's shocking how easy that is to happen
Just
when
run
you're
away from you. Yeah.
It totally can. And the next thing you know, you're sort of rambling and meandering, you don't get anywhere, and you're not really telling a story. You're just making rhymes work. But when I'm writing the actual rhyming portion, I'm so distracted right now. Are you so distracted right now? There's something going wrong with my feed. Is that okay? Do you need my help? She's like, I won't talk. I'll pretend I'm not here. Evangeline's acknowledging me.
I
Stop
have
acknowledging me. There's
noticed
no one else in the
something,
room. But when I write in the poem part, I have to do it in my head first, because it's so awkward and it doesn't work initially. You know, like I have to massage the rhythm and I have to massage the tempo and the rhyme, but my brain knows where I'm trying to get.
Right.
So it can sort of keep track of the errors and sort of jigger the whole thing. When I say it out loud and it doesn't work, it trips me up and it gets me stuck in the mistake. So I do not read aloud until it's as polished as I think I can get it in my head. And then I read it aloud, and all the ugly mistakes and you know, issues with meter and all that just jump out at me, and I go, oh, in my head that worked, but that doesn't work when I say it out loud. And then I make other people read it out loud, which is even more insulting and even harder. But I think the audiobooks influence the writing only in that when I'm writing the story, there is a certain understanding of the sort of theatricality that I want to create. The stories take place on a stage, in a theater, in a
So they're
wagon.
being performed.
So
in
they're
a way.
being
Yeah.
performed.
Yeah.
And that sense needs to always be in there, even though in The Demise of Selma the Spoiled, I intentionally let kids feel like the stage has fallen away and we're in a real world with beautiful fresh air and we're out of that claustrophobic wagon. This is all part of the mythology that, you know, is laced into these 20 books. I keep in mind, but we are on a stage.
Right.
And there is a spotlight, and there is the wood, and the flipped, you know, all that stuff, and the sort of resonance of that, and what the theatricality of it sort of is. And I did the audiobook of The Demise of Andy the Arrogant, the last one I did. And Andy's already such a theatrical character. He's larger than life. He's this big, strapping guy, and he's got this crazy hair and this huge chin, kind of like Thanos. I did it first. You know, I'm just saying, I didn't see Thanos until after I created Andy.
But he's not purple, right?
He's not
Yeah,
purple.
okay,
No, he's not
so
purple.
there we
And
go.
by the way, for those of you who are huge Marvel fans who are freaking out saying, Thanos has been around since before you were born. I know. It's okay, I know. but he, the way he speaks, like I would do his voice in this kind of big, like he sort of has this surfer voice, so it's kind of like, dude, he's sort of in this space. But I tried to make it like really bold. So like if he was on a stage, he was projecting that to the audience.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of all the poor moms who are going to be trying to read in the voice of Evangeline Lilly and do all the voices, and
my kids have a singer. They'll be like, Mom, can you read us this book? And I'll be like, no, I'm busy. And my beautiful partner will be like, I'll read it for you. And they're like, no, Dad, no. You're so lazy when you read books. Yeah. Mom, like, I come out of reading for my kids, and I'm like, I need some water.
Like I should have gotten paid for that, right? Yeah. So we are going to be wrapping up now, and I am going to ask you to remind people where to buy. Where they can buy this and what's coming next. Okay, so
when I finish signing all these books, which there's much more than what you see here, you can get the Squickerwonkers pre-show. And Squickerwonkers, The Demise of Selma the Spoiled. They go in this order. Pre-show comes before, if you've never been to live theater, this is what happens before the show, the pre-show. And this is Act 1 of the show. And they are available on premiercollectibles.com. And if you want the direct link to these books, then you go to premiercollectibles.com/act and then the number 1. If you need to know how to spell Premier Collectibles, just stick it in your search engine and it'll come up. Just try your best. The general spelling will probably take you in the right direction. We have, how many copies do we have that are signed that are available that haven't been bought? Do we know that right now? Because there's a lot that have been bought already, right?
We've got some of that.
Okay. So she's like, you're signing more. You're gonna sign until. Yeah. Okay. So we have as many as you need, and buy your heart out. We're not gonna run out. You're gonna have books coming out your yin yang, and that's what we want. Thank you.
I can't recommend these enough. Honestly, they are beautiful. I get asked to do things a lot. After Wonder, I will tell you the honest truth, and I say no to a lot of things because I just I want to really genuinely love what I spend time doing, right? And I jumped at the chance of, because this is just my cup of tea personally, I think it's really great, and they are really wonderful read-alouds. And I will say, as a parent who has read many, many books aloud to my kids, when you find that special book that you could read over and over again and not get tired of reading, that's a winner. And this is that. So
you're gonna
enjoy.
Make me cry.
No, it's true. It really is. So
that was one of my first goals when I said I read books to my kids that are torture.
Yeah, you hide them.
I hide them.
I would hide them. Say, oh, I don't know what happened to it.
Like totally.
Just because I couldn't read it one more time.
I cannot read How Many Fish one more time. I can't do it. I just can't. So I was like, I'm going to write a book that parents will hopefully enjoy as much as the kids enjoy. Thank you so much. You honestly brought tears to my eyes.
Oh no, this is great.
I'm so grateful that you came, and you're a fantastic moderator. You
Look
have
at
another
that.
career in moderating if you want to do anything more.
Who knew?
From midnight to 3 again to do your writing because you're moderating all day. You could keep busy, I'm sure.
I could totally do this, talk to interesting people all day long. This would be my
It's
my
fun,
dream.
right?
So, yeah,
it's good.
It's good.
I asked her, I said, do you want to come play with me? Because it just feels like that's what we're doing, talking about the thing we love to do.
Yeah, books.
Yeah.
Books.
We love books.
So this was great. Thank you.
premiercollectibles.com/Act 1, pre-show, Demise of Selma the Spoiled, Squickerwonkers. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching today and listening to my long-winded and rambling answers. And we look forward to the next one. The next one that'll be coming out. Don't forget about the audiobooks that are available on Audible and iTunes. We have 4 of those. There's 2 of these, there's 4 of those. If you want to know what happens after Selma's demise, then go and check out the audiobooks. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.